Sales confidence isn't about reps. That's the lie you're being told, or maybe you're just telling yourself. It's just 3 tricks, that's right, 3 simple tricks that can go from being unconfident and not knowing what you're doing to mastering the call and being really confident, leading with conviction and actually getting the close. And for most AI agencies, they're still hoping that reps are going to get them the results, when actually that could be having the biggest negative impact. This week, I hit 13 years in sales. It's been a long road since those days back in the Reading call center, and how much I don't miss them and the meal deals I used to have with them. And in that time, I've trained over 60 sales reps, coached thousands of AI agencies, been in numerous leadership roles. I've even managed teams over like 11 different time zones. But yet, the one thing that I get asked the most is, how do I grow my sales confidence? And the truth is, most people can do it, but they just approach it completely the wrong way. And to give you an idea of why it's not the reps, some cocky 20-year-old is literally starting today in their sales journey. They're going to make an obscene amounts of money, and literally because they just focus on what works. That's right. They don't try and reinvent the wheel. They just focus on frameworks and all of the things that I'm going to talk about today, rather than all of the other things that don't get you the result. And see, I understand where it plays off. 12 years ago, well, 13 years ago, I have to remind myself now, I started off as a recruitment resourcer. And when you're a recruitment resourcer, you're basically given a job where every single application that comes in, doesn't make a difference who it is, you call, interview them, scrape them for all the information that's worth, whether, who their manager is, who their boss is, are they recruiting their replacement, I'm trying to test my memory now. You'd ask them what interviews they've been to. You'd ask them all these questions, and then you move on to the next one. And people thought that this was about learning rejection and learning about basically how you would just communicate with people. The truth is, actually, it drove more people to quit more than anything else. You would start with 8 people in a room getting trained back in the office, if I remember it really well. And only one of them would ever make it out of the training room after probation and actually end up in a seat. Majority of them would quit. And the reason most people would quit, and the reason that most AI agencies never actually get a sale, is the fact that they've been lied to that sales is basically going to get them a lot better, because those reps basically are going to lead you to getting, rejection reps. They're going to lead you to get a little bit more thick-skinned so you can actually handle rejection when it happens. You never actually learn from it. I can tell you right now, I've worked on deals last week where rejection still hurts. The truth is, the difference is that I can accept the results if I've followed simple steps and I know what I'm doing. Where if I'm just kind of blindly going and approaching my sales process, it can lead me to probably being a little bit more disappointed. This often breaks people, like I mentioned, and actually you end up becoming a bit of a psychopath when it comes to levels of empathy. Before you know it, your family start questioning you when you have no emotional connection with them whatsoever, just because of the amount of rejection that you've had. And the lie is, as I said, you won't get better, you'll just get more thick-skinned. It wasn't until I basically paid for a sales mentor and stopped listening to my manager, Steve, that everything came real. The mentor completely flipped me from banging my head on the table to just booking more calls and boosting my conversion rates. It got me a promotion. It actually put me on the journey towards sales leadership and even to eventually coaching. There was a day where I walked in, no joke, and started actually telling my colleagues how to sell. You can imagine the jokes that came my direction. But I just changed everything. So what was the fix? Well, to simplify a incredibly expensive mentorship, it was really these 3 things that made the biggest change. Number 1 was just detachment overall. The law of reversed effort. Exactly the same as everything else. It's the same as dating. Generally, the more you try for something, the more likely you're going to lose and you're not going to get it. The more that you put yourself out there and want it, the more likely it's not going to happen. And the reason why is they can smell that commission breath. They can smell your need, and it's just going to lead them to kind of walking and trying to get away from you. So yeah, as bad as it is, do your job authentically. Actually try and make a difference and try and learn the problem and try and solve the problem, and then think about the money that comes afterwards. And by doing that, your prospect's going to start leaning in rather than leaning away. Tip number 2 is actually an unbelievably simple but great and effective tip. And it literally comes down to just holding a pen in your hand. That's right. It's a small little hack, but it will help you. When you're speaking, you don't want to talk like Speedy Gonzalez. I think that's the cartoon character, if I remember the day. But you don't want to be talking ridiculously fast at people. You want to be slowing everything down and being far more confident to them that you know what you're doing. Actually having something in your hand allows you to do this. And if you ever see public speakers, especially new public speakers, they'll be talking and they'll have like a coffee cup or something in their hand. It might even be the remote for the presentation that they're not even pressing. The reason they do this is the second that they feel like that they want to say something, you just give it a quick squeeze. Or when you're listening, you try and do something. This is the guru things that you'll see some people do on their calls. It's distracting your mind. Cognitively, your brain isn't thinking about all of the things that you should be saying. You'll end up actually listening a lot more to your prospects because all of those thoughts are just being focused and kind of vented towards the pen. You think I'm crazy. This is the one that you're going to be watching going, no, I don't believe it. Try it in your next sales call. Send me a message in the comments afterwards. You can thank me later. And the last one is generally just basically having frameworks. It amazes me. It literally is one of those things that confuses me so much, how people can approach sales calls with no idea of how the call is going to go. And they just hope that it will flow in a way that they want. When I was doing sales back in the day, the sales training never really taught frameworks. It just focused on objection handling or pitching a price or negotiation. Those things are irrelevant if you don't know a framework, a structure of a call in getting them from A to Z and knowing which stages you need to follow on going through the call. If you think about any other scenario, imagine literally I gave you a cake to make and told you, look, here's the ingredients, off you go. Doesn't make a difference if you're making it 100 times without any method or instructions. We all know that it's going to end up like that huge pile of thing that you know what I'm going to say. However, if I gave you the instructions just once, yes, you might not have the perfect cake for the first 3 attempts, but suddenly you're going to get close to Mary Berry levels by the time you get to 100. And sales calls is exactly the same. And to take a quote from my sensei, when he was talking to me and training me about frameworks, he said to me, at the end of the day, a lot of sales is just basically high pressured, really fast problem solving. So just mimic other things that are exactly the same. Chess players and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu are 2 ways where basically you have to make decisions quite quickly. In Jiu-Jitsu, if you don't, you're going to get strangled and embarrassingly tap on the floor. Well, hopefully you tap and then you don't get strangled as much. But my point being said is these people always focus on understanding their next moves. They already know where they're going when something happens, so they're not sat flustered and panicking in the moment when it's a high-pressured environment. So just treat sales calls exactly the same, and before you know it, you're going to have a level of confidence, which means when something happens that maybe throws you off a little bit, you're not gathering your thoughts, you're holding your pen, and you're going to be able to know the next steps. So like I said, confidence, it isn't about reps. It's simply knowing what you're doing and having a couple of hacks along the way to help you out. It's not the output, it's the input. You can unlock really fast by just taking your last call, working out what worked and what didn't work, and then moving that into your next call. But being honest with you, sounding confident whilst you're asking the wrong questions is still going to end up with your client saying, let me think about it. If your discovery doesn't surface what they're actually going to pay to fix, the price reveal isn't going to win, and you're going to lose a little bit more confidence in understanding what's going wrong. So I guess the next thing to do is just probably watch this video where I go over detailed with way too many questions and breakdowns of how you do a discovery call. Give it a watch, and then maybe you might get a little bit more sales confident. Thanks for watching.